Hello and welcome to the Anglian Flaneurs. Today we're at the East Side Gallery along the River Spree in the old East Berlin, and we'll be walking along the longest open air art gallery in the world. The gallery runs for just over 1.3 kilometres in Mühlenstraße. The gallery opened in early spring 1990, about 4 or 5 months after the fall of the wall, and the original section was painted by 118 artists from 21 countries. Everyone I know who has visited the East Side Gallery here has their own particular favourite mural. My favourite one is the one we've just seen with the German flag. Now, the two most popular ones are Dmitry Rubel's fraternal kiss between Brezhnev and Hoenecker, and Birgit Kinder's trabbi breaking through the wall. Now you'll see those two iconic pieces of art as we move along the wall. I'm just showing you on the map here where we're located today, and we'll be walking also along the River Spree later. This is the famous fraternal kiss that we talked about a few moments ago, and must go down as the iconic work of art here. It's certainly the one I've seen the most of before coming to the East Side Gallery today. The gallery here is a protected monument, but it is open to the effects of the weather. And much of the work here has had to be restored and repainted. Here's the mural of the trabbi breaking through the Berlin Wall. The gallery here has had its fair share of controversy. We talked about the ongoing restoration process that needs to take place. It's an open air gallery, but 8 of the artists of the 1990 refused to paint their own images again after they were completely destroyed by the renovation. And in order to defend the copyrights, they founded the Founder Initiative East Side with other artists whose images were copied without permission. There's been some discord and controversy about the ownership of artwork here, but I believe all ownership now comes under the auspices of the Berlin Wall Foundation. We'll soon be walking on to Flaneur-Exploring, and we'll be seeing an art form of a different kind. Now, this is very much down to your personal view. Now we'll be seeing some Soviet-style local authority housing. For those of you who follow the Anglian Flaneurs, you'll know that when we're walking around London, we get rather excited at seeing some local authority housing. Now, I don't know if local authority is the right term to use here, but please bear with me. What we see here is the site of the Stasi, the East German secret police. Now, you can go to the museum there, and it's about a mile or so away from here in a northeasterly direction. I guess you wouldn't call the ex-Stasi offices housing, but a lot of people did stay over there, but perhaps they didn't stay in the most comfortable of conditions. One of the largest concentrations of housing, a housing project, was in the district of Marzahn in East Berlin. So you can see that development before us. So it was very functional, very minimalist, without any extravagances, apart from the picture of Hoenecker that you can see in the foreground. What you can see now is the three brothers of Flaneur-Exploring, number 69, 73 and 75. They were constructed in 1971 to improve the living conditions of East Berliners. And on the right hand side we can see further examples of Soviet and East German style architecture for workers of the Workers' Paradise and Socialist State of the German Democratic Republic. After all that man-made beauty with art and architecture, let's look at the natural beauty of the River Spree. And we'll see some major road building developments very soon. So even 33 years after the fall of the Berlin Wall, there still seems to be a lot more building and infrastructure work going on the east side of Berlin than in West Berlin. Of course, that's just an impression from a few days visiting Berlin. I'm no way pretending to be an expert here. And before us, just before the famous TV tower, we can see the City Hall of Berlin. Now, this is home to the governing mayor and the government of the state of Berlin. And we see before us the famous statue of St. George slaying the dragon by the sculptor August Kiss, who was a pupil of Christian Rauch, a neoclassical German sculptor. We're now coming up to the famous St. Nicholas Church. Now, this is the oldest church in Berlin. Now, the church was built between 1220 and 1230. It's situated in the Nicholas Quarter, an area of restored medieval buildings that we'll talk about in a few moments. In the former DDR, this was a very fashionable part of East Berlin to live, and these luxurious flats that we see before us were used by high-end members of the ruling SED party. In 1987, the city of Berlin celebrated its 750th birthday. Now, this is somewhat difficult because then you had East and West Berlin. You had two very different political systems, and you had two very different birthday celebrations. Now, for the celebrations, the East Berlin authorities tried to recreate the medieval splendour for when the Church of St. Nicholas was founded in 1230. But its attempts have been labelled as half-hearted and lacklustre. But for all that criticism, I found it quite enjoyable walking around these quarters. This was the party celebration of the 750th birthday of Berlin, East German style. Government members of the ruling party SED, of course, had the front row seats. How reassuring to see that human nature never changes. Doesn't matter whether you're to the right or to the left, humans always behave the same when given power. This wild, wonderful celebration party took place on the 4th of July 1987. And before us we can see the wondrous sight of the Robotron PC 1715, a workstation computer, and this is displayed by the sales division from Erfurt. We did make brief mention of Robotron when we went to the DDR museum, but the company was founded in 1969 and was the biggest computer manufacturer of the GDR. So it produced personal computers, mini computers, as well as radios, television sets and other items, including a cookie cutter. We're having another walk round the Church of St. Nicholas and the medieval restoration. Now, the church was destroyed in the Second World War, Allied bombing in 44-45. Now, the church was in a difficult position during the regime of the DDR. Now, officially, East Germany was an atheist state, and it wasn't until 1981 that the East German authorities allowed the rebuilding of the church with its old designs and plans. I hope you've enjoyed our journey today through the side gallery and then viewing some Soviet style, East German style architecture, and then finishing up by the Nicholas Quarter, viewing the oldest church in Berlin and the medieval restoration that took place for Berlin's 750th birthday party. So, goodbye from the England Flaneurs. We will see you soon.